Most people think motivation comes from effort, from pushing harder, from forcing themselves to change. But real change starts when the mind is quiet. When you stop trying to become someone else and finally begin listening to who you already are. This is not a story you need to follow. It is a story your subconscious already understands. So don't focus, don't analyze. Just let the words pass through you. Something inside you is about to remember itself. The room inside you. There is a room inside you that most people never enter, not because it is locked, not because it is hidden, but because it is quiet. And the modern world is afraid of quiet. This room does not shout, it does not demand attention, it does not compete, it simply exists. And every time you feel lost, every time you feel tired without knowing why, every time you feel like something is missing, it is because you have drifted away from this room. When you were younger, you visited it often. You didn't call it anything. You didn't analyze it. You just felt present. Time moved slower there. Your thoughts were softer. You didn't measure yourself against the world. You simply were. But slowly, without noticing, you learned to live outside of yourself. You learned to chase, to compare, to prove, to perform. And the room stayed behind, not angry, not disappointed, just waiting. Because this room does not operate in time, it does not age, it does not rush, it exists in a different rhythm. The rhythm of breath, the rhythm of awareness, the rhythm of being alive without explanation. Every night, when your body begins to rest, the door to this room opens slightly, not with sound, not with light, but with a subtle feeling of slowing down. This is why so many thoughts appear before sleep, not because your mind is broken, but because your mind is finally coming home and everything you have ignored during the day now asks to be seen. But tonight, you don't need to solve anything. You don't need to fix your life. You don't need to become a better version of yourself. You only need to remember one thing. You were never behind. You were never late. You were never missing anything. You were just disconnected from your own center. The world taught you to look forward, but peace exists inward. The world taught you to become more, but fulfillment exists in being. The world taught you to seek purpose, but your nervous system only seeks safety, and safety is not a destination. It is a state. A state where your body no longer feels hunted by time, where your mind no longer feels observed by expectations, where your existence no longer needs justification. In this state, something strange happens. Your identity becomes lighter. Your thoughts lose their sharp edges. Your future stops demanding answers. And for the first time in a long while, you feel neutral, not happy, not sad, not excited, not afraid, just present. This is the psychological reset. This is where real motivation comes from, not from pressure, not from discipline, not from fear of failure, but from alignment, from the quiet understanding that you don't need to fight yourself to evolve. You only need to stop abandoning yourself. Every version of you that you want to become already exists as potential. But potential does not respond to force. It responds to permission. Permission to rest, permission to breathe, permission to exist without proving. And in that permission, your nervous system reorganizes, your perception shifts, your internal narrative rewrites itself, not consciously, not logically, biologically. Your brain releases control, your body releases tension, your identity releases rigidity, and something ancient inside you remembers. Growth is not a push, it is a return to internal coherence, a return to psychological safety, a return to the state where learning feels natural and effort feels light. This is why exhausted people don't need motivation. They need regulation, and regulated minds grow automatically. Not because they try, but because they are no longer resisting themselves. So tonight, you are not here to improve your life. You are here to remember your internal rhythm. The rhythm that existed before social pressure, before comparison, before the idea that you must become someone else to be enough. Your subconscious already knows what to do. It knows how to reorganize. It knows how to release outdated patterns. It knows how to move toward coherence. You don't need to guide it. You just need to stop interrupting it. And sleep is the ultimate permission. Sleep is the moment when your identity dissolves and your nervous system finally speaks in its own language, a language of signals, of chemicals, of electrical rhythms, of biological intelligence. And in that intelligence, there is no concept of failure, only adaptation. No concept of success, only integration. No concept of self-improvement, only self-regulation. You are not a project. You are a system returning to balance. And balance always feels like calm. So if your life feels heavy, it is not because you are broken. It is because you have been operating in a state that was never sustainable. Tonight, you are allowed to exit that state, not forever, not dramatically. Just for now, just long enough, for your mind to remember how it feels, to exist without tension. Because once the nervous system remembers peace, it begins to reorganize everything around it. Thoughts soften, decisions become clearer, energy returns naturally, not as motivation, but as alignment. And alignment feels like quiet confidence, the kind that does not announce itself, the kind that does not rush, the kind that does not compare, the kind that simply knows, I am not behind. I am becoming at my own biological speed, and that speed is always slower than the world, but faster than fear. And sometimes you will forget this again. You will wake up and feel the pressure return. You will feel time watching you. You will feel the quiet urge to rush your own becoming. And that is okay, not because it is ideal, but because it is human. Forgetting does not mean you failed. It only means you re-entered the noise, and every time you notice the tension, every time you feel the subtle weight in your chest, every time your breath becomes shallow without reason, that is not stress. That is a memory. A memory of the internal rhythm you once touched. The rhythm where nothing was required of you. The rhythm where existence was not a performance. Your nervous system is not asking you to do more. It is asking you to come back. Back to the state where your body feels safe without explanation, where your mind feels spacious instead of occupied, where your identity feels flexible instead of defined. This is why true rest feels unfamiliar at first, because you are not used to being without a role. You are used to being a function, a task, a responsibility, a future version of yourself, but beneath all of that, there is still a system that only knows how to regulate, not to impress, not to compete, not to accelerate, just to balance. And balance is not exciting. It is not dramatic. It does not feel like progress. It feels like neutrality, like the absence of internal friction, like the end of psychological gravity, like standing still without feeling left behind. This is why silence feels uncomfortable at first, because there is no longer anything to chase. And when there is nothing to chase, the mind has no choice but to meet itself. Not as a story, not as a personality, not as a goal, but as a living system. Breathing, regulating, reorganizing, without your permission, and without your resistance, and slowly something shifts. The need to control dissolves. The need to explain dissolves. The need to optimize dissolves. And what remains is not motivation. What remains is coherence. The feeling that your thoughts, your body, and your awareness are no longer pulling in different directions. They are moving together at the same biological speed, and that speed is always slower than the world, but faster than fear. You don't need to remember these words. Your subconscious already absorbed what it needed. Let your body continue the process. Let your mind dissolve into rest. Nothing more is required from you tonight. Just sleep and allow your system to recalibrate itself.